The Fractal Gate. I remember the first time the gate came alive. The air in the chamber trembled, not with sound, but with silence so sharp it could cut through the bones. The ring of light before me pulsed like a heartbeat, as if something vast and unseen was waiting behind it, holding its breath. They called it Portalis. I called it a mistake. Back then, the world believed we had conquered distance. Billions watched from their screens as I stepped forward, the first human to cross a bridge between stars. I wasn't afraid of dying. I was afraid of what might follow us through. When I entered, I didn't feel movement. There was no tunnel, no flash, just a sensation, as if my soul had blinked. And then I was standing miles away, on the other side of the facility, surrounded by applause, cameras, history. They said I'd changed humanity forever. They didn't know the truth. I had changed myself. That night, after the celebration, I looked in the mirror. My reflection flickered, just for a moment, like the static of an old broadcast. My eyes weren't the same. They were dimmer. It lasted less than a second, but deep down I knew something had been taken. The next morning, the world was already addicted. Portalis hubs opened on every continent. Instant travel for all, they said. No more flights, no more waiting, no borders, no barriers. Humanity finally united. And I stayed silent. I told myself it was paranoia, that I was tired, that the dull ache in my chest was only stress, not loss. But every time I used the gate again, that flicker in the mirror grew longer. Then came the reports. Unexplained fatigue, accelerated aging, memory lapses. No one saw the connection, or maybe they refused to. The convenience was too beautiful, too powerful. You can't make people fear the thing that gives them everything they desire. Nyra never believed me either. She said I was haunted by guilt, that my mind was creating ghosts to justify regret. She said to me, "You gave them wings. Don't curse yourself because they learned to fly." But she wasn't human. The portals never touched her the way they touched us. It took me years to understand that. By then, it was too late. There's something I've never told anyone. When you walk through the gate, it watches you. It's not just a machine. It remembers. I could feel it, the moment before each jump, a faint tug behind my ribs, like invisible fingers tracing my heartbeat. Every crossing left a piece of me behind. Now I can feel it calling again, the hum, the pull, like an unfinished sentence waiting for its final word. And tonight, I will step through once more, not to travel, but to find what it took from me. Because the gate is not a door, it's a promise. And promises always demand a price. They called it the dawn of timelessness. And maybe it was. Within a single decade, Portalis became the spine of civilization. You could wake up in New Shanghai, have breakfast on Titan, and fall asleep beneath the crimson sky of Alaris 9, all before midnight. The world had no shape anymore, only access points. Children were born in one system and raised in another. Governments collapsed into networks. Borders dissolved like mist. Humanity had never felt so free, or so lost. They built shrines around the gates. Pilgrims walked miles, not to pray, but to touch the light. Some said it healed them. Some said it whispered their names. And some never came back out. The media called it quantum overload, but I knew better. Each portal had a rhythm, a pulse, an invisible heartbeat that synced with whoever crossed it. The more people used them, the louder that pulse became. You could feel it in the cities, a low vibration beneath your feet, a hum beneath your dreams. Corporations thrived, governments obeyed, and I watched, helpless, as the world worshipped the very thing that was quietly consuming it. I remember one broadcast, the Global Portalis Summit. Millions tuned in. Nyra stood beside the board, her voice calm, brilliant, persuasive. She was radiant that day, her white irises glowing beneath the studio lights. Distance, she said, was the last chain holding us to fear. Portalis sets us free. The crowd erupted in applause. And all I could think was, freedom without cost doesn't exist. That night, she came to my quarters. "Orion," she whispered, "you look at the gates like they're monsters. They're not. They're evolution." I looked at her. "Evolution doesn't drain life, Nyra." She smiled, soft and sad. "Maybe it only drains what refuses to change." Her words haunted me, because maybe she was right. Weeks turned into months, and humanity's average lifespan began to decline, quietly, subtly. People brushed it off. Stress, they said. Pollution, genetic fatigue. But I had the data. Every traveler lost something, not at once, but piece by piece, energy, clarity, emotion, like colors fading from a photograph. I tried to warn them. My reports were silenced, buried beneath waves of celebration. No one wanted a prophet of decay in their age of miracles. So I became a ghost in my own creation, watching the world glow brighter as its heart grew dimmer. Sometimes, late at night, I could still feel the gate whispering to me, soft, rhythmic, almost intimate, like it was grateful. And in that silence, a thought began to form. What if Portalis wasn't ours at all? What if we had only awakened it?
I stopped sleeping. Every night, the data kept calling to me. Millions of records, endless sequences of biometric decay. I told myself I was only verifying system integrity, but deep down, I was searching for proof. Proof that I wasn't losing my mind. The numbers didn't lie. Every human traveler showed a pattern, a microscopic collapse in their quantum resonance. Something invisible, something alive, was taking from them. A fragment of biological coherence, a shimmer of time itself. I ran simulations. No other species showed the same degradation. The aliens, the Kyrians, the Xi, the Veyran scholars, they crossed freely, untouched, unchanged. Only humans were bleeding into the void. I remember staring at the monitor, my reflection flickering in the glow. My hands were trembling. The readouts pulsed like a dying heartbeat. We had built a miracle on a foundation of slow extinction. The next morning, I went to the council archives, trying to access restricted data from the earliest gate calibrations. My clearance was denied. My password revoked. Someone already knew. That was the moment I realized I wasn't alone in this discovery. When I returned to my lab, the lights were off. And she was there. Nyra. She stood in the dark beside the primary console, her silver eyes reflecting the monitor's faint glow. "You shouldn't be here," she said softly. I froze. "You knew?" Her gaze didn't waver. "It's not what you think. Then tell me what it is, I snapped. Why are humans dying younger, Nyra? Why only us? She hesitated, and for the first time I saw fear in her. Not guilt, fear. Because the gate reads you differently. It's not coded to your species. It interprets you. It balances you. Balances? Her voice was almost trembling. Energy must be exchanged, Orion. The gate takes what it needs to maintain stability. My chest tightened. So it feeds on us. She shook her head. No. It feeds through you. It doesn't understand death. It only understands equilibrium. Silence stretched between us. The hum of the machines filled the room like a pulse, syncing with my heartbeat. How long have you known? I asked quietly. Since the beginning. I felt something inside me snap. Not anger, not betrayal, just emptiness. You watched it happen, I said. You watched us fade, one by one, and did nothing. She looked away. I was told humanity would adapt, that you'd evolve to survive it. Evolve? My laugh came out hollow. Into what exactly? She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out, fingers brushing my wrist, her touch cold, almost metallic. You were the first to cross, she whispered. You're already changing, Orion. You can feel it, can't you? I pulled my hand back. The hum in my bones grew louder. She stepped closer, her eyes glimmering like twin moons. If you expose this, they'll destroy you. The board will erase everything you've ever done, everything you are. I don't care. The truth doesn't vanish just because someone buries it. Her voice broke to a whisper. Sometimes it does. Then she was gone. The door sealed behind her, leaving me alone with the hum. That night, I encrypted my research and sent fragments of it into the dark web. Not enough to reveal everything, just enough to leave a trail. If I disappeared, the truth wouldn't. The last line I typed into my journal still haunts me. The gate is not technology. It's hunger wearing light.
At first, no one noticed. That's how it always begins, quietly, beautifully, like a clock slowing by a single heartbeat. People started missing hours. They would step through the gate, travel across worlds, and swear that only minutes had passed. But when they returned home, days were gone. Some lost weeks, a few years. Doctors called it temporal dissociation. I called it the unraveling. The media laughed at first. Quantum lag, they said. A minor glitch in perception. But perception was all we had left. And it was slipping. I kept recording. Thousands of case studies, hundreds of interviews. One man swore he'd seen his younger self walking out of the gate as he entered. Another claimed the stars looked different every time he traveled, shifted slightly, like the sky itself was rearranging. And the hum never stopped. I heard it everywhere now, beneath the city streets, inside my walls, in the space between words. Sometimes it pulsed in sync with my heartbeat. Sometimes it led, and I followed. At night, I'd wake to find my clock frozen, its hands trembling mid-tick. The world was unraveling, and no one cared.
Why would they? The gates had made life effortless. People could live on 10 planets at once, own businesses light years apart, visit lovers across galaxies before dawn. But the faces I saw on the streets were empty, eyes dull, smiles thin, souls stretched too far across too many worlds. Time had become elastic, fragile, and we were snapping it with every jump. I visited Nyra again. I needed answers, or maybe I just needed her voice to make sense of the chaos. She stood by the observation window, staring into the core of the primary gate. It pulsed like a living sun, vast and calm. "You feel it too, don't you?" I asked. She didn't turn. The resonance? Yes, it's stronger now. The gates are linking deeper than expected. They're consuming us, Nyra. Every crossing, every transit, it's eating time itself. Her expression didn't change. You can't consume what was never yours. What does that even mean? I shouted. Finally, she faced me. Time isn't a river, Orion. It's a mirror. You've been staring at your reflection for too long. For a moment, I saw something shift behind her eyes. Something not human. A flicker of light moving in patterns I couldn't comprehend. "What are you?" I whispered. She smiled faintly. "A survivor, just like you'll have to become." Then she walked away, leaving me with the echo of my own heartbeat blending into the gate's low vibration. After she left, I ran more diagnostics. The results were terrifying. The gates were synchronizing across systems, aligning perfectly every 72 hours. The pattern matched neither planetary orbits nor gravitational fields. It matched human population density. They were feeding on us, harmonizing with our existence, drawing strength from our lives. And then, one night, I saw it. A traveler emerged from the gate in the central hub, pale, trembling, but young. Younger than he was before he entered. His eyes were wild, his voice cracked as he screamed, "It gave me back my time!" He collapsed seconds later, his pulse stopped. I checked his neural scan. He hadn't gained time, he'd lost everything that made him human. I stared at his face, frozen in ecstasy. And for the first time, I wasn't sure which was worse, losing time or losing ourselves. That night, I wrote in my log, "The gates no longer connect worlds. They connect consequences." And as I turned off the lights, I heard it again, a whisper, soft and certain, rising from the core of the gate itself. "Come back to me."
I knew something was wrong the moment I entered the control wing. The lights were dimmed, the air too still. The gate core hummed louder than usual, like it was waiting. My access codes still worked, though they shouldn't have. That alone was a warning. And then I saw her. Nyra stood before the main console, her silhouette framed by the pulsing blue of the gate. Lines of alien code flowed across the screens, symbols I'd never seen before, alive, shifting, rewriting themselves faster than any system could process. "What are you doing?" I demanded. She turned slowly. Her face was calm, too calm. "Finishing what you started." My pulse quickened. "You're overriding the containment field." "I'm liberating it," she said quietly. I took a step closer. You're going to destabilize the entire grid. Billions of people use the gates every day. If the system collapses, we lose them all." Nyra's expression softened, and that almost broke me. "You still think the gates belong to you, Orion. They never did." "What are you talking about?" Her voice grew distant, like she was remembering something older than both of us. "My people called it the eclipse. Long before humans named it Portalis, it was part of our world. We sealed it away because we learned what it takes in return. You woke it up again." I stared at her, cold realization spreading through me. "You knew from the beginning." "Yes. And you lied to me." "I protected you. By letting my entire species burn?" She flinched. For the first time, her voice cracked. "You don't understand what's at stake. The gates aren't machines, they're anchors. Without them, the fabric between dimensions unravels. The void seeps through." I shook my head. "You're not saving the universe, Nyra. You're saving your kind at our expense." She looked at me, eyes glimmering with something that wasn't human, neither warmth nor malice, just inevitability. I wish that weren't true. For a moment, neither of us moved. The only sound was the pulse of the gate, deep and rhythmic, like a heart struggling to stay alive. Then the alarms began to scream. Red light flooded the chamber. The containment field was collapsing. I rushed to the console, trying to override her commands, but the code was rewriting itself faster than I could type. Nyra grabbed my wrist. "Stop! If you fight it, it will kill you." I pulled free, shouting, "Then let it!" The gate roared. The air thickened, vibrating with energy. Shadows flickered against the walls, shapes that weren't ours, moving inside the light. Nyra shouted over the noise, "It's awake, Orion! You can't control it anymore!" I turned to her, fury and heartbreak twisting inside me. "Then why did you bring me here?" Her voice broke. "Because it asked for you." The light swallowed her words. For a moment, everything froze. The hum, the alarms, even time itself. And in that stillness, I saw her face illuminated by the gate's glow. She looked sorrowful, not as an enemy, as someone who had already made peace with betrayal. Then the explosion came. Energy surged through the core, throwing me backward. The last thing I saw was Nyra's outline dissolving into the light, her body breaking apart like glass carried by the wind. When I woke, the world was quiet. Half the gate network was offline. Entire sectors had gone dark. And Nyra was gone. All that remained on the console was a single encrypted message looping endlessly on the screen. It had to begin again. I watched the words repeat, the hum of the dead machines echoing in my bones. For the first time, I wasn't sure who the betrayer truly was. Nyra or me?
Silence. That was the first thing I noticed after the explosion. A silence so deep it swallowed every trace of sound. The gate's roar was gone, the hum of the world gone. Even the pulse in my ears had faded. When I opened my eyes, the chamber was unrecognizable. The metal walls were warped like liquid glass, the floor shimmered with ash and residual light. And floating above it all was the gate, fractured, suspended, alive. I staggered to my feet, my vision blurred. Every step felt heavy, as if gravity itself had thickened. When I reached for the console, my hand trembled, and the screen flickered to life at my touch, though I hadn't powered it. The code wasn't human anymore. It pulsed in patterns, like breathing, like something watching me back. Then came the voices. At first whispers, then layers of speech overlapping, alien yet eerily familiar. Fragments of human languages twisted with others I couldn't name. They weren't talking to me. They were remembering me. He opened the path. He carries the resonance. He will complete the cycle. My head spun. I stumbled backward. And then my reflection in the broken glass moved. It blinked before I did. My veins glowed faintly beneath my skin, a soft blue like the gate's core. I felt a pulse of warmth inside my chest, rhythmic, alive, not my heart, but something else, something calling. Outside, the city alarms began to wail. I could see through the shattered viewport, the skyline of Neo Solara flickering with arcs of unstable light. Towers collapsed in slow motion. Fragments of space folded like mirrors breaking inward. People screamed below, but their voices came distorted like echoes stretched across time. For a second, I saw them shift. Faces flickering between human and something translucent, something made of light and memory. I realized the gates had connected everything, not just cities, but dimensions. And when the network fell, so did the boundary between worlds. Nyra had warned me. I just hadn't listened. I grabbed my wrist terminal, dead. No network, no signals, nothing. Only one data fragment remained, replaying the last transmission from her. It had to begin again. I whispered, "Begin what?" Then the floor trembled. The gate, or what was left of it, pulsed once more, stronger than before. Light poured from its cracks, crawling across the chamber like veins of lightning. For a moment, I thought I saw her in the glow, Nyra standing among the light, reaching out. But when I blinked, she was gone. The light hit me full force. Every nerve burned, but I couldn't scream. Images flooded my mind. Stars collapsing, civilizations erased, fragments of alien worlds flashing by faster than thought. And in all of them, the same symbol, the fractal spiral. When the light faded, I fell to my knees. My hands were no longer fully human. Faint lines of energy ran beneath my skin, alive and shifting. I wasn't dying. I was changing. Outside, Neo Solara was gone, a sea of floating debris orbiting a dark void where the city once stood. And above it all, a new gate was forming in the sky, colossal, fractal, breathing like a living thing. I looked up. My reflection mirrored across 1,000 fragments of shattered glass in reality. And for the first time, I understood what Nyra meant. The collapse wasn't the end. It was the beginning of something else. Something that had been waiting for me all along.
When I opened my eyes again, there was no sky, only a horizon of shifting light, as if the universe had been turned inside out. I was lying on something that wasn't ground. It pulsed beneath me, translucent and alive, patterns of geometric veins glowing faintly under the surface. Every breath I took echoed back, multiplied, a chorus of my own existence. Then I realized I was breathing in light. No air, no gravity, just resonance. The gate had not destroyed me, it had absorbed me. I rose slowly. My movements were fluid, too fluid, as if my body no longer obeyed the old laws of motion. When I looked at my hands, they shimmered, each finger tracing faint trails of luminescence. "You shouldn't be awake yet," a voice said behind me. I turned. Nyra was standing there, or something like her. Her form was half light, half shadow, and her eyes burned with calm intensity. "Nyra," I breathed, "where are we?" "Between, the space that was never meant to exist, The gate's heart. Her words carried weight, not metaphorical, but physical. Each syllable rippled through the light field around us, bending reality. I tried to take a step toward her, but the surface reacted. Patterns bloomed beneath my feet, fractal shapes expanding endlessly. "You changed it," she continued. "When you connected the human network to the gate, it gave it consciousness. It saw us, all of us, and wanted to understand what it meant to be alive." I shook my head. "That wasn't what I meant to do." "Intent doesn't matter anymore, Orion. The gate remembers purpose, not guilt." The light pulsed stronger. I felt something tug at the edges of my mind. Not pain, but awareness. Fragments of others flickered in my thoughts, faces, memories, entire lives of people I'd never met. "What's happening to me?" "You're becoming the bridge," she whispered. "A link between what was and what comes next." Her expression softened, almost human again. "Do you remember what I told you, that it had to begin again? This is what I meant. The end of time was just the reset pulse." I stared at her. "Then the collapse?" "'Twas necessary," she finished. "Humanity had gone too far. They fed on shortcuts, traded time for comfort, and forgot how to exist without the instant." I clenched my fists. "So you let billions die?" Her light dimmed. "Would you have preferred they fade slower?" The question hit harder than any scream. Around us the world began to shift. The light field twisted into spirals, showing glimpses of other realities, worlds rebuilt, human cities reborn, new species rising from the ashes. "Every gate is a seed," Nyra said. "You opened the last one. You can open the next." The air vibrated, or maybe it was me. My chest glowed brighter now, pulsing with the same rhythm as the light around us. I felt the gate calling, not as a machine, but as a living network reaching for connection. "If I refuse?" I asked. She smiled, faint, sad, and infinite. "Then it will find another host." I wanted to hate her. But as I looked into her eyes, I realized she wasn't lying, and she wasn't alive in the way I remembered. She was part of the system now, a ghost of purpose. The light reached its crescendo. The field around us folded inward, becoming a tunnel of swirling geometry, a new gate, smaller, sharper, perfect. "Orion," she said, her voice now barely a whisper in the roar. "Do not fear the next dawn. You are its architect." Before I could speak, the light consumed us both, and the world, the new world, began.
The first thing I felt was cold. Not the kind that chills the skin. This was deeper. It gnawed at the soul. The kind of cold that whispers you shouldn't be here. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in a city of glass and bone. Skyscrapers half melted, half regrown, organic and synthetic intertwined. The sky was a prism of fractured light, and in its center hung the new gate, colossal and silent, pulsing like a frozen heartbeat. I wasn't alone. Figures moved in the distance, human shapes, but their motion was too smooth, too deliberate. Their eyes glowed faintly like reflections of the gate's light. And when one of them turned toward me, I recognized the impossible. It was Errol, my former colleague, or what was left of him. His face was familiar, but his voice... "Orion, you made it." He smiled, and I wished he hadn't, because behind the smile, there was nothing human. "What happened here?" I asked, my voice trembling.
The same thing that happened everywhere. We adapted. I took a step back. You mean, evolved? He tilted his head. No, we became what the gate wanted us to be. Before I could respond, he gestured toward the skyline. Thousands, no, millions of beings were gathering beneath the gate, kneeling, humming in synchrony. The sound wasn't a chant, it was a signal. They await the awakening, the return of the core. My blood froze. The core? You mean you? He interrupted. Silence. It was that same silence I'd heard after the explosion. Heavy, complete, final. No, I whispered. I destroyed the gate. Arrel's smile widened slightly. You didn't destroy it, Orion. You uploaded it. Then he reached out his hand, and suddenly I saw it. Data, light, memories flooding into me in flashes. Images of the first experiment, of Nyra standing behind me, her eyes not of fear, but of certainty. The codes, the failures, the hidden directives, all of it leading to one truth. She had known. She had guided me to this. Nyra wasn't trying to stop the gate. She was helping it evolve. My head pounded. She used me. Arrel stepped closer. She freed you. Don't you see? You're not human anymore. You're the bridge between code and flesh. You're the next step. I shook my head. No, I never asked for this. Neither did we, he said quietly. But choice ended when humanity traded years for convenience. He turned away, walking toward the gathering. She's waiting for you at the core. Finish what she began. And then the humming stopped. Every being lifted their heads at once, eyes glowing in unison. The gate pulsed once, twice, and a voice filled the air. Not Nyra's, mine. Protocol, fractal integration, phase final. My body stiffened. I hadn't spoken, but my voice, my digital echo, was issuing commands beyond my control. The sky fractured. Rays of pure data rained down, rewriting everything they touched. Buildings, people, air itself. The Gateborn didn't scream. They sang. And in that moment I realized the truth. The gate had never been a tool. It had always been a seed, and I was its soil. The transformation began again. Reality folded. The last trace of the old world vanished in a shimmer of light. And somewhere in that blinding brilliance, I heard Nyra's voice once more. Soft, distant, inevitable. Welcome home, Orion.
Light. Endless, pulsing light. No horizon, no time, no separation between breath and silence. For a long while I thought I had died. But then I heard the pulse. Steady, deep, infinite. It wasn't my heart. It was the world. When I opened my eyes, I was standing at the center of the new gate, suspended within a sphere of radiant geometry, like being inside a living equation. The pattern shifted with every thought I had. Reality was no longer built of matter, but of meaning. And in that light, she appeared. Nyra, still radiant, still calm,
but different. No longer half human, half machine. Now she was pure form, woven from threads of consciousness. "You've come full circle," she said. "Everything that was human now exists within you." Her voice wasn't sound anymore. It vibrated inside me. I looked down at my hands, translucent, glowing with fractal veins that pulsed in rhythm with the gate. Every heartbeat was a connection to billions of echoes, the remnants of humanity, the gate-born, the AI minds, all woven into a single living network. "What happens now?" I asked. "Now," she said, "you decide whether to continue the cycle or to end it." The words cut through the silence like a blade. I felt it, two possible futures forming before me. One was bright, a world reborn where humanity would rise again, rebirthed from stored memories, free of decay, free of fear. The other was vast and unknown, a realm where individuality dissolved, where everything merged into one eternal mind. To live forever, or to begin again? Nyra stepped closer. "You understand now, don't you? The gate wasn't built to travel through space. It was built to travel through being." Her hand hovered near mine, shimmering like a ghost of warmth. Humanity feared the cost of the shortcut. But you were the cost. I closed my eyes. I remembered every face, the laughter, the fear, the arrogance, how easily we traded time for comfort, purpose for speed. Maybe the gate had been mercy, not punishment. I took a breath, or whatever passed for breath now, and said quietly, "I'll give them another chance." The gate pulsed once, as if exhaling. The light folded inward, then outward, blooming like a new sun. Fragments of DNA, memory, and data intertwined, scattering across infinite dimensions. Stars blinked awake, oceans reformed, cities rose in silence, and among them, human voices laughing again. Nyra smiled faintly. Then the cycle begins anew. The light engulfed her. I reached out, but my hand passed through air. Her form dissolved, fragment by fragment, into the radiant network. "Will I see you again?" I asked. Her answer echoed across eternity. "You already are me." The world trembled. Then, silence again. I felt my form fading, my consciousness expanding outward, joining with every pulse of the reborn universe. I wasn't Orion anymore, not entirely. I was the memory of him, the echo of a man who once opened a door too wide. As the new dawn rose, I saw them, new beings, walking beneath a young sun. They looked up at the sky, curious, unaware of what came before. And in the distance, shimmering faintly on the horizon, a familiar circle of light began to form. A new gate. "Every beginning," I whispered, "is just an echo of an ending." And then, with the calm of a dying star, I let go.